Hi everyone, I'm here with Shesh, life coach, mentor and a personal inspiration for people at Bristol to discuss about insurance. Now, this is a topic that we at Bristol don't cover because we don't talk about insurance, not portfolio insurance. Portfolio insurance I can talk ages and ages for years, but when we talk about insurance and how it fits with retirement and security of your family or your assets, that's a topic that we wanted Shesh to cover and talk about. So here we are, Shesh.
Hi, I'm Shesh. I spent about 35 years in the corporate world and I retired a couple of years ago, and since then, as Asheesh said, I've been coaching and mentoring professionals and startups. I also advise SMEs on their growth and success. On insurance, I'm probably the wrong person to talk about insurance because for the first 25 years of my independent life, I did not have any, and I'm very fortunate actually that I didn't die during that time. I mean, I'm not.
The family is fortunate.
I didn't die because if I had, I would have left them without anything, and they would have become burdens on somebody else, and that would have been a horrible, horrible legacy to leave.
When did the thought of taking a proper insurance come to you? Was it through an event, a health scare? What happened?
Oh no, it was actually just my meeting someone like you.
Mm-hmm.
I was around 41, 42,
Mm-hmm.
and again, some of the concepts we grew up with is sad because I had contempt for insurance. I thought insurance was always a con game.
Correct. Yeah.
And then I had this meeting with this guy, and he was not an insurance chap,
Mm-hmm.
but we spoke about it,
Mm-hmm.
probably in a bar or a dinner. He said, he spoke about why you need insurance, both in terms of life insurance as well as medical insurance.
Right.
And he explained the logic. So he said, so he actually went very personal. He said, what is your corpus today? What do you have, today? And I told him, and he said, now, how much do you spend per year? How much you and the family spend per year? So I told him. So he said, you have around 8 or 9 years worth of money if you die today, because you're the primary earning member of the family.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Your kids are, 7 and 8 and 10,
Right.
and they have another 10, 12 years to go of education and college and so on and so forth. He says, how is your, wife going to manage?
Mm-hmm.
And that basically really, hit me very hard.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And then he gave me this advice saying that generally speaking, whatever your net income is after taxes,
Mm-hmm.
you multiply that by 20,
Mm-hmm.
and that should ideally be the amount of insurance you should carry, with the logic that the total insurance, let us say I die, the money goes to my wife, she puts it into safe securities, which gives a 4 to 5%
Right.
per year tax, net of tax, and that essentially gives the same amount of money I was earning, so they could continue a similar
Same
lifestyle
right.
and not be impacted financially by my departure.
So basically, the rough thumb rule is whatever your annual earnings are, net of taxes, multiply by 20,
Yes.
and that's at least the insurance, at least that much that one should go for, right?
Yes. The other thing he spoke about is at that time, which again I had not thought of it. When I was 41, my kids were about 10 and 15.
Okay.
He said, the kids may want to go to college abroad. I was in India then.
Right.
He said, do you know how much it costs? I said, yes, roughly. So he said, it will cost you $250,000 at least.
Wow.
For a 4-year course in the US.
Oh my God, I have 3 kids. What do I do?
Right? So he said, now you have 2 kids, so that's $500,000.
Yeah.
He said, do you have any kind of plan for that?
Wow.
And I said, absolutely not. He said, not just after you die, but even when you're alive, you still need to plan for that.
Yeah.
So that was another, eye-opening point, which I had never thought about.
So it's like retirement, education, insurance. These are various different goals, but they come together.
Yeah, but then he said that if you're looking at insurance, he said you have to look at this separately. So he said it's 20 years for your lifestyle, for allowing your lifestyle to continue, but you also need to tack this on top in case you pass away and your wife wants to send the kids across to the US or to UK, you'll need this money.
Right.
So that is when I really started looking at insurance seriously, and I obviously got hit because I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
So the premiums were higher. I was a smoker, so my premiums were even higher.
Yeah.
So the cost of insurance starting late was substantially more than if I had started early. But most importantly, the fact was that I was the family was very fortunate that I didn't die before then. Because they were, now when I look back, I shudder to think what they could have gone through.
No, I agree. So again, like in the last video, I mentioned that live like you're going to die tomorrow, but invest like you're going to live forever.
Yes.
Which means that you live like you have to buy insurance today because then it can happen tomorrow.
Right? I just see this in the last 6 months. Three of my friends from college have passed away. Right? They're all mid-50s, mid to late 50s. There was no indication. It was not as if there was a sudden drawn illness or anything like that. One was a heart attack, one was a cerebral hemorrhage, one was COVID, right?
Oh.
So 3 of them in the last 6 months, and if I went back in January and thought that in June or July I'll be sitting -3 close friends, I couldn't have imagined that.
I think it's very important for people to face some of these realities and just remove that. I think just lethargy. I think everyone
Not
has
lethargy, not lethargy.
What is it?
It's people don't like to think about this. They
It's
don't.
a negative
Yeah,
emotion.
you have to think about these morbid issues like death.
Yeah.
And you say, oh my God, why will I be thinking about death? I'm 30 years old.
True.
Then I have the other extreme. My father-in-law, he passed away recently, but he was 82 before he thought of insurance.
Okay.
So you have the other extreme. And he was 83 before he wrote his will.
Okay.
Because he was very confident that he was going to continue living for a long time. So I think people don't like thinking about death. People don't like thinking about, forget about death. What about when you have an accident and you're not able to work? Right?
Yeah, disability.
Total disability. We don't like to think about these things, but it happens.
Right.
And if we're not prepared, it's not just us we are affecting, we're affecting our family, we're affecting, and if we don't prepare for our family, then we are allowing them to become burdens on our larger family and friends. And that is something which you don't want to live with.
Well, which is why, just last week we were having a meeting at Bristol with all our leads, and we decided that we'll strike some partnerships, which we are now actually in the process of firming up in the field of insurance, getting wills in place, getting even corporatization of assets, because that's also
I think that
the wealth transfer, and even education. Like people need some help to understand where to send their kids, how to go at these things. So all these things which either are, like you said, morbid issues, or people don't want to think about it, or there are a lot of inefficiencies in the system. Because like you said, right, if you think about insurance, one is it's a morbid thing. Second, you can't really trust many people because you don't know who's selling snake oil to you.
Yeah.
So you need someone to look at it and very objectively say, no, this thing is good, and let's go with that. A neutral, independent party.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we decided that we will start these partnerships and identify partners, do some due diligence, and then come up with that and open those up to our friends and fan base. So keep a watch out for that, and hopefully if you come across anyone who has even those kind of things, so you can tell them that Crystal also helps in this and not just investments.
Again, I think you have struck a very important point, Asheesh. Investment is not just about shares or stocks or bonds, right?
Yeah.
It's about a holistic, comprehensive view of your entire financial
financial planning itself. Yeah.
planning, right? It's about what if something goes right, what if something goes wrong, what if something let us say you're 35, you hate your job, you want to change, you want to go and become an artist and sort of paint murals.
Yeah.
If you had planned right, these are opportunities you could actually take.
Yeah.
Right? Many of us tend to remain in jobs not because we want to be in them, but because we have to be in them. Right?
Right.
And if we are able to manage our financial lives better, we will give ourselves more options, we will give ourselves more security, we give ourselves essentially more happiness.
Well, that makes sense. I think it's very important points that you raised today. And I hope people find it quite insightful, what Shesh has shared with us. and reach out to us, write to us, send us a LinkedIn, a WhatsApp, an email, and we'll be very happy to connect you with Shesh. In fact, you should check out his blog, his LinkedIn. I think he's a very great thought leader, which maybe we'll also talk about in our next video. Thank you.
Thank you.